It's been about a month now since the Warriors won their 4th championship in 8 years and their first since 2018. Today I'd like to go back to the early beginnings for this team's dynasty. Some newer fans may not remember when the Warriors were once a perennial laughingstock and only had one playoff appearance throughout the 2000s and 2 winning seasons. That being the We Believe season, in which they upset the #1 seeded Mavericks after clinching the 8th seed in the last regular season game in 2007, and then when they missed the playoffs the following season despite winning 48 games. With this 4-part documentary, I'll be going over how they rose from the gutter to becoming a dynasty, going back to the gutter, and then rising back up and being what has to be the most well-run organization in the NBA today. So how's it going, everyone? It's Nick. Hope you guys are doing great. So since the Warriors were once a perennial laughingstock and haven't always been the well-oiled machine that they are today, let's take it back to how the original core came together through the draft, with plenty of busts drafted ahead of them. The story of the Warriors dynasty actually began with the 2009 draft, when they drafted this guy you might recognize. If you live under a rock, well, that's son of former NBA sharpshooter Del Curry. That's Stephen Curry, who was drafted 7th overall by the Warriors in 2009 and is widely considered the greatest shooter of all time. Blake Griffin was the 1st overall pick that year and James Harden was 3rd. They may not be busts now. I may have had some harsh words for James Harden, but I definitely will not go as far as saying that he's a bust. But Stephen Curry clearly did pan out a lot better than both of them, something that I don't think anyone expected at the time. Major busts like Hasheem Thabeet and Johnny Flynn were drafted ahead of Stephen Curry. The New York Knicks had their sights set on Stephen Curry with the 8th overall pick, but the Warriors took him with the 7th pick. Instead, the Knicks ended up with Jordan Hill, who didn't even last a full season with the team. Typical Knicks luck, right? The Warriors were still a lottery team in Steph's first 3 seasons in the league, despite Steph being a solid player during those years. No one had any idea how great he'd actually be back then, though, since he's only 6'2" and he came from a small school called Davidson after not being recruited by any major schools, and his father's own alma mater asked him to be a walk-on in order for him to play for them. He did lead Davidson to the Elite 8, and although everyone knew that he can shoot the lights out and that he can handle the ball, his very small frame for a shooting guard and not being a pure point guard did bring up some question marks about how good he can actually be. Now yes, as said in my last video, those people saying he's the greatest point guard ever now are 100% reaching, but he's arguably the 2nd greatest point guard ever. So if you are enjoying part 1 of this documentary so far, if you could please consider dropping a like, that'd be much appreciated, and also if you can consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss another video, that'd be much appreciated. You're awesome. Links to my social media are down below. Let's continue. So after Steph's rookie season, the Warriors found new ownership in Joe Lacob and Peter Guber. In April of 2011, the Warriors hired Bob Myers to be their assistant general manager and learn under their current general manager, Larry Riley. A month later, on May 19th, 2011, Jerry West, aka The Logo, became an executive board member of the Warriors and would be very involved with team personnel decisions. Jerry West has already had great success as a general manager, beginning with his stint with the Showtime Lakers. Yes, he already had Magic and Kareem when he took over as the GM, but he also drafted James Worthy, which sure isn't exactly a genius thing considering it was the 1st overall pick, but he also did trade for Byron Scott and drafted AC Green late in the draft. In the late 90s, Jerry West brought Kobe and Shaq together to the Lakers, and he brought in Kobe through one of the most lopsided trades in NBA history by trading Vlade Divac to the Hornets for Kobe. Then with the Memphis Grizzlies, Jerry West turned a perennial laughingstock into a playoff team. So even though the Warriors still aren't a very good team yet at this time, it does sound like they're up to something good now, with Stephen Curry having a bright future, just we don't know how bright yet, and Jerry West being involved with team personnel decisions. Given his track record, he definitely knows what he's doing. The Warriors also traded some role players and a future 2nd round pick to the Knicks for David Lee, who was coming off his first All-Star season and would be a key starter for the Warriors the next 4 seasons. In the 2011 draft, the Warriors drafted another former NBA player's son, Klay Thompson, son of Michael Thompson, 11th overall. Kyrie Irving was the 1st overall pick, and in between Kyrie and Klay, everyone not named Kemba Walker did not pan out. What else I found out while writing this script about Klay Thompson that made me think wow is the fact that the Warriors were actually hesitant to draft Klay Thompson due to when he was issued a misdemeanor criminal citation for marijuana possession that got him suspended for his last college game. I mean, come on, it's just just weed. Weed's not that bad, and it is safer than alcohol. But Jerry West convinced the Warriors to draft Klay Thompson, and they did a good job at listening to someone who has a great track record as a general manager. They also hired Mark Jackson as their new head coach. You may know him for saying, "Mama, there goes that man" on NBA games on ESPN. He was a solid point guard back in his day. As a coach, he would be able to provide the Warriors some great motivational speeches. So the Warriors would once again not be very good in the 2011-12 season. Steph missed most of the season due to ankle and foot injuries, and the Warriors were not only a losing team, they also traded Monte Ellis, the guy who was thought to be Steph's running mate for years to come and was scoring 20+ points per game. Monte was the last remaining player on the We Believe team. Trading him left the Warriors fan base very disgruntled, and Joe Lacob got booed when the Warriors retired Chris Mullin, their former star from the Run TMC days number. Little did the fan base know what they had in Klay Thompson, and trading Monte Ellis would actually be the better move for the Warriors in the long run. So lesson learned, if your team is going through a new regime, yeah, some moves aren't easy decisions, but trust them until they give you a reason not to trust them. One of those guys the Warriors got in return for Monte Ellis was Andrew Bogut, who'd be the Warriors starting center for the next 4 seasons. In April of 2012, the Warriors promoted Bob Myers as the head GM. That leads us to the 2012 NBA draft, in which the Warriors took Harrison Barnes with the 7th overall pick. They also drafted Festus Ezeli with the last pick of the first round, but where they really made their big splash was 5 picks later in the second round when they drafted Draymond Green, who, despite being Michigan State's all-time leader in triple doubles, back then was thought of as not big enough to be a big man at 6'7" and not quick enough to be a wing player at the NBA level. Little did anyone know what a gem the Warriors found in Draymond Green, despite his weaknesses that many thought would hold him back from being an impactful player. His impact wasn't very immediate though, as he came off the bench his first 2 seasons. However, he did show potential on the defensive end his first 2 seasons, and his rookie year he even made some clutch baskets. Prior to the 2012-13 season, despite playing only 26 games the year before, the Warriors extended Stephen Curry to a 4-year, $44 million deal. Many thought that was very risky at the time due to his injuries, but Steph set out to prove the doubters wrong. The Warriors would also sign Jarrett as their backup point guard that offseason, and he would be in the running for 6th man of the year. In 2013, the Warriors finally had their breakout season as they made the playoffs for the first time since the 2007 We Believe season. They also had their first All-Star in David Lee in 2013 since Latrell Sprewell in 1997. It's crazy to believe that the Warriors' first All-Star since Latrell Sprewell is not Stephen Curry, right? Even though Steph had his first of many record-breaking seasons from the three-point line that year. The 2012-13 season was also the year the nickname the Splash Brothers was born for Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. It's a play on words for the former duo of the Oakland Athletic Sluggers, Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco, the Bash Brothers. The Splash Brothers originated from Brian Witt, a writer for the Warriors who tweeted #SplashBrothers when Steph and Klay combined for 25 points on 7 3-pointers by halftime against the then Charlotte Bobcats, now Charlotte Hornets. The night the legend of Stephen Curry was really born though was at Madison Square Garden when Steph lit up the Knicks for 54 points in April of that season. Steph finished the month of April scoring 25 points per game, which was good enough to win him Western Conference Player of the Month. The Warriors went into the playoffs as the 6th seed with 47 wins, but upset the 57-25 Denver Nuggets in the first round before losing to the eventual Western Conference champion San Antonio Spurs. Despite the loss though, everyone knew the Warriors had a bright future, but not exactly how bright yet. In July of 2013, the Warriors made a big move in bringing in Andre Iguodala from the Denver Nuggets. Iguodala scored 18 points per game in that 2013 Warriors-Nuggets first-round series, was an All-Star and an Olympian in 2012, and was known to be a very good defensive player, so the Warriors are already looking better with the addition of Andre Iguodala, even after losing 2 key bench pieces in Jarrett Jack and Carl Landry. The Warriors would move Harrison Barnes to the bench in favor of Iguodala, and to replace the bench depth that they just lost. In 2014, the Warriors did improve their record from 2013 and won over 50 games for the first time since the 1993-94 season when Chris Webber was Rookie of the Year for them. The Warriors did take a small step back offensively, but a huge leap defensively, going from 14th to 4th in defensive rating. Stephen Curry also made his first All-Star appearance in 2014. 2014. However, they would lose in the first round to the Lob City Clippers in 7 games. The Warriors would end up firing Mark Jackson, and that came as a surprise to many because the Warriors did go from a laughingstock to a playoff team under Mark Jackson. However, replacing him with Steve Kerr, who had 0 coaching experience at the time at any level, not even as an assistant, did happen to be what was best for the team. So that's going to do it for part 1. So before I do end part 1 of this video, I think it's also worth noting that while there were several trade rumors about the Warriors, including Klay Thompson in a package for Kevin Love, as the Timberwolves were looking to trade Kevin Love to a playoff team, Jerry West pushed hard to make sure Klay Thompson stays a Warrior. So that'll do it for now. Be sure to hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. Please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss parts 2, 3, and 4 of this series, or any other future videos I do as well. Links to my social media are in the description. Please get down in the comments and give me your memories of the pre-Dynasty years, or if you just want to give me some feedback, I'd really appreciate that as well. If you want to click either of these videos up above, that'd be much appreciated. In fact, when I do parts 2, 3, and 4, that's going to be what's in the end screen. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Peace.